Hello, my friend and fellow Lightwalker, and welcome to another week in what I'm calling Divine December. Now, it may be divine, but you probably feel a little perplexed. That's because Mercury is retrograde, and the universe is calling for you to think about your life story from a different perspective. But I believe this week you will have breakthrough, and by this weekend, you'll be ready for a declaration. From my smartphone to yours, keep streaming for your weekly Namaste Today. Welcome to Namaste Today, an enlightening way to kickstart your day. I'm your host and spiritual life coach, Sensei Christopher Witecki. Welcome back, my friend. Namaste. Well, we are in the month of what I call Divine December. I call it divine because I believe the universe is edging you towards the story you were born to live. You could call this your fate or your karmic path. But it has been difficult to interpret. That's mostly because Mercury has been retrograde. I found last week to be rather foggy, but it does look like this week there is a turnaround to your understanding. So in this week's episode, I'm going to talk about this turnaround and how it unfolds, and I'm also, in our Tea Time segment, going to dive deep to the new moon that happens next Monday, December 18th. But first, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is for Monday, December 11th to Friday, December 15th, 2017. Looking at your 5-day moodcast. Well, the week is primarily sunny with one cloudy day that brings some breakthrough. Let's take a look. On Monday, it's sunny and creative. Step 19 rules the day, and a moon in Libra will restore your life's balance. On Tuesday, it's overcast, cloudy, moody, and probably sensitive, but the sun crossing Mercury begins to bring you clarity. On Wednesday, it's sunny and aggressive. The moon crosses Mars, and your story now comes into perspective. On Thursday, it's sunny and quantum. Step 22 rules the day, and the moon in Scorpio changes your personal comfort zones. And then on Friday, it's sunny and super clear, with the moon moving into Sagittarius on the countdown for the new moon. Well, looking at the planets, this whole week is about understanding things a little bit deeper. So in our next segment, I'm going to walk you through the days and what will happen. Taking a sneak peek at the upcoming week, I coined this week a new understanding. Now, we are in the sun sign of Sagittarius, which, if you don't know, is our belief structure. Everything that you believe will happen in life, and this is based on your experience, your knowledge, your education, and your spiritual history. But I do not believe that our beliefs stem from education alone. In fact, I believe here in the story of creation that we create our own reality and we our own manifest destiny, that our beliefs actually stem from our heart and our heart's intentions for what we want to experience on earth in this flesh example of our spirit. So when we get to the bottom of our beliefs, or we get to the bottom of the story we were born to live, what we're really getting to the bottom of is our heart and what our heart has intentions of experiencing on earth. Now, last week, I think it was a very cloudy week. First of all, Mercury is retrograde, which means we're kind of on the opposite sides of our normal thinking sphere. If you're normally an intuitive thinker, you're now forced into the logic. If you're normally a logical thinker, you're forced into the intuitive. And so last week was a bit murky, and most of it was about us uncovering false beliefs about our path and really turning our back on old beliefs or old ways that we used to think life would unfold. This week, I believe we're going to come to a new understanding, a turning point in our personal story that will allow us to approach the future with a fresh perspective. Now, I've had a lot of people email me and say, Chris, I'm in crisis. I can't figure out the story I was born to live. I'm running out of time. Now, I have to say that's not a problem because, remember, this life experience is about the journey, not the destination. In fact, I'm a psychic, an astrologer, I always know where things are pointing, but I have to tell you, every time I think I know the destination, I have been wrong. Because with each step we take, new opportunities unfold. You are not the only creator in this universe, it's actually co-creation. So we create, we have our intentions, and then we have response from the rest of the collective. So the point is, your job, if you want to call it a job, is to get down to the meaning and purpose of your journey. This week is about understanding what brings you meaning in your journey, what creates a meaningful journey for you. And if you can determine what creates a meaningful journey, I believe you will end up at the destination you were born to live. So, this week is about changing that perspective. Now, there's another aspect this week that's also very powerful, and that has to do with Jupiter in Scorpio. We talked a lot about this last month because the Sun was in Scorpio, and Jupiter entered into Scorpio for the first time since 2005. Jupiter in Scorpio simply means that we are opening up and expanding what our personal boundaries are. Boundaries with ourselves, our emotional comfort zones, and the boundaries that we draw with other people as well. And this is, I think, why we had many sexual predators that were kind of outed during the sun sign in Scorpio, because the universe is saying it's time for personal boundaries to change. Well, looking at this week ahead, personal boundaries are kind of a B story that are very powerful to you finding your life's journey. And that's because it's quite likely that part of your journey has been clouded simply because you have only so much allowance for what you are emotionally comfortable experiencing. So this week, Jupiter will be at step 13 for most of the week. It moves to step 14 on Sunday, the day before we have the powerful new moon. And this means that I'm expecting some minor breakdowns and breakthroughs with your personal emotional boundaries. And I think that this will be the setup for you to understand what your journey is about. Now with breakdown, it's not going to be massive breakdowns. These will be minor breakdowns. In other words, you'll hit a certain wall or a dead end, or perhaps you'll realize that someone doesn't want to tolerate what your boundaries are. And so you'll be forced to rethink what your emotional comfort zones should be. Also adding some intensity to this week is Mars. Mars has now moved into Scorpio. And when the Sun was in Scorpio last month, Mars was in Libra, so we were consciously figuring out what our comfort zones should be or shouldn't be, but we weren't necessarily enforcing those comfort zones. Now that Mars has moved into Scorpio, there will be a lot of enforcement. I would not be surprised, for instance, with some of these sexual predators that came out into the national spotlight, you'll start to see repercussions now, other than them being laid off or fired. You'll see some of the repercussions of those boundary trespasses because Mars is now in Scorpio. It also means that you're probably going to be very impatient with yourself and enforcing personal boundaries. So, for instance, if you made a new declaration with Jupiter and Scorpio that you were going to go to the gym every day, well, now that Mars is in Scorpio, you'll probably feel this kind of weight on your back and this impatience and intolerance and frustration if you don't do it. So this is a week where if you want to be clear and you want to move forward at a rapid rate, then enforce your boundaries, live up to those boundaries, because I think it sets you up for your clear understanding. And then the last transit that's going on this week that I think is very important and relevant is the fact that the Sun and Mercury will conjoin. As you know, Mercury is moving retrograde backwards in Sagittarius as the Sun is moving forward. I call this the scissor effect, okay? And what this does is allow the future and the past to come together, and the Sun and Mercury will conjoin between step 20 and step 21. Step 21 is when it starts to get fun, and step 21 is also the Grand Master step of Sagittarius. What this means in simple terms is your heart, which is the Sun, and your mind, which is Mercury, will come in and conjoin, which means at some point this week, your heart and mind will come to an agreement on what brings you meaning and what brings purpose into your life, thereby giving you a new understanding, I think, of what your purpose is and what your story that you were born to live actually is. So that said, let me walk you through the week and what you can expect each day and outline this change of your understanding. On Monday, I'm predicting to be sunny and creative. The moon is in Libra, so one of the things that's happening on Monday is you're ready to now manifest what you do know. You're ready to move forward with what you have learned so far. Step 19 is the edge between proficient and mastery. So we're on the edge of mastering our beliefs, on the edge of mastering our understanding of things. Mercury's at step 23, and so Monday will be a day where there is a lot of clarity. However, one of the things about Monday is with the moon in Libra, your feelings will be very sensitive about you and relationships. So if relationships are a big part of the story you were born to live, a big part of your purpose, you'll find that you are somewhat oversensitive with relationships on Monday. And you may also find that this is the day where you might reach a dead end with personal boundaries between you and someone else. So I mentioned there might be a boundary breakdown that happens this week. That's likely to happen between Monday and Tuesday if that happens. Tuesday is cloudy, overcast, and probably super moody. That's because the sun moves to step 20. Step 20 is a very passionate step, but it's also a step where we feel emotionally vulnerable quite often. So this might be a day where you suddenly feel kind of mopey. That's one of the things about Sagittarius. It's got an interesting scale of consciousness. On the high end of Sag, it's very optimistic and hopeful. On the low end of Sag, it's very mopey and poor me and feeling sorry for ourselves, which I think is okay to have those moments. I'm just saying we might have one on Tuesday. The moon will be in Libra, and it'll be in the high decans of Libra, which means that you will really be emotionally focused on who you are to yourself and who you are in your relationships. But what's interesting about Tuesday is there's a lot of, this is really the day from this mopiness or sadness. This is the day that you likely will have an understanding and a breakthrough of how you perceive your journey. All right, so if you start off mopey, I think that's the setup for you to have a breakthrough and an understanding. Venus is in Sagittarius. It'll be at step 14, which means you'll be opening up to new beliefs on Tuesday. The Sun and Mercury are now starting to conjoin. The moon will oppose Uranus, which means you'll have a moment where you'll be invited to your old ego or your new ego, and you'll have to choose which ego you're going to take, the one that always failed or the new ego that wants to thrive. Saturn will now reach step 29, which is the most tested step on Tuesday, and Mars will be at step 2 Scorpio, which means we will be incredibly emotional about our boundaries. So Tuesday looks like it to be the most difficult day, but probably the most profound day for your personal learning. Wednesday, the moon moves into Scorpio, and that's going to feel really good because it's moving into a space that Jupiter has already corrected and grown. So I think everyone will feel a lot stronger on Wednesday. It'll probably feel like a bit of an aggressive day on Wednesday. And now by the end of Wednesday, Mercury will have crossed the sun. So now the sun is in the lead. We're leading with our heart, and our thoughts are behind us. And this is a good thing, actually, because we should lead with our heart, not with our mind, as far as the way I understand consciousness. So Wednesday, that heartfelt direction and moving forward probably is what brings you into this new understanding. Venus moves to step 15 on Sagittarius, which means you're probably feeling balanced and safe with your understanding. But Black Lilith moves to step 3 Capricorn, which means as of Wednesday, now you start having fears about whether or not you have the right belief. And I want to underscore that it's very natural for you to have fears that you're on the wrong path for the next week or so. Okay, so just say hi to Black Lilith when she shows up with her fears. Thursday will be a profound day. Like my guides tell me Thursday is more powerful than the planets particularly do. The sun is ruled by Uranus on this day. It's a step 22 day, so this is usually a quantum breakthrough day. And the moon will trine Neptune as it's in Scorpio. Neptune is now direct, and what that means is I think on Thursday, after you have your new understanding the day before, now you're able to run with where this understanding will take you. So I think Thursday will really open up your potential and probably be the day where you set intentions for the new moon, which will happen the following Monday. So Thursday looks to be very exciting. And also Mercury and Venus are now starting to conjoin on Thursday, which means your mind is starting to work with your creativity and you're starting to really run with the ball. So Thursday looks like a good day, but probably a little weird. And then finally, Friday, I predict to be sunny and super clear. Friday is probably when you have the big picture understanding of where your story is going, or at least what the journey is supposed to be about, what it's supposed to bring meaning for you in your life. And strangely enough, Black Lilith moves to step 4 Capricorn on this day. So now we start fearing again that we are on the wrong path and that we might lose control. But at the same time, I think we're having great understanding. And on Friday, Mercury and Venus conjoin at step 17, which tells me that your mind will be made up and you'll be able to open up to these new ideas in full totality. So Friday, it looks like we finally have our clarity and our understanding. But that's not really where this week ends. In fact, in my opinion, this week ends with the new moon, which will technically happen very early on Monday, which is why I want to talk about it this week for this show. So go steep yourself some tea and let's have our weekly tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. This week's tea time topic is New Moon Declaration. Now, we have a very powerful new moon that happens technically very early in the morning on Monday, December 18th. But I bring it up in this show because you really should go to sleep on Sunday night with your new moon declarations. I normally say it's a new moon intention, but I think this one is a declaration, and I'm going to tell you why. For one, we have what I call a mega stellium going on in Sagittarius. Let me just outline it for you. Mercury will be retrograde at step 15, first of all, on this new moon. Now, the fact that it's retrograde tells me that we are creating a past life stories next chapter. All right, that's just my personal belief in observing astrology for over 20 years and my own life in the process. But when we have a new moon or a full moon when Mercury is retrograde, it means we are picking up from a story we left off in a past life and we are continuing with it. Now, I believe that's true for everyone on Earth. I believe this is the story we were born to live, and the reason why we were born to live it is because we already failed at this story in a past life, and now we want to pick it up and succeed this time. That's why it's a big deal. But Mercury retrograde at step 15 Sagittarius means that your mind will be opening up on this day. Your mind will be open to receive your truth, open to receive your knowledge. So an open mind is a very dangerous thing, right? That means change can happen. The next planet, which is in conjoining it, is Venus. Venus is what we are opening up to completely. So Mercury is saying we're open-minded. Venus says we are opening to, and Venus is at step 21. That's the step where the Sun and Mercury cross between Tuesday and Wednesday. So it means that whatever revelation you had in the week, you're now open to accepting and receiving this revelation on the new moon. And then Venus conjoins the Sun. These are all within 7 degrees of each other. So that means they're all linked together like a train of consciousness. Venus conjoins the Sun and Moon, which will be at step 26 Sagittarius. Now, step 26 is a commitment, okay? And what you're committing to is what you feel, step 2, that you can open up to, step 6. So what you feel your heart can open up to, you commit, which is a net 8. So this is a Capricornian, Saturn kind of commitment, and this is why I'm calling it a declaration, by the way, because your heart and your emotions are declaring this new purpose. But it doesn't stop there. The Sun and Moon then conjoin the galactic center, which is your place in the universe and where you fit in the big galactic picture of things. And then, wait, there's more. The galactic center then conjoins Saturn at step 29. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a stellium of 6 planetary energies, all working like a spiritual locomotive, which means you're basically bringing your entire belief structure to the table here. This is your whole soul saying, I declare and I commit to this path. But there's also a B story here. There's a subplot going on, and that subplot deals with our personal boundaries, as I had mentioned earlier. Mars will be at step 5 on the new moon, which means your ego will be committed to whatever your mind is telling you you should commit to. All right, so having your ego on board to where your thoughts are, which is at step 15 Sagittarius, means that your ego's not fighting, your ego's not resisting, your ego is in total alliance and obeying your spiritual intentions. And Jupiter will be at step 14 Scorpio, which nets to a 5, which means we have a harmonic going on, which means not only are you committed to the boundaries with yourself, but you're committed to your boundaries with others and the outside world. So this is a mega stellium. This is a mega new moon. It's a fated new moon. I don't think you can screw it up, to be honest. Just be awake and be aware and make sure that you're not putting any time and space into the past. Okay, that's the only no-no. If you are hung up on the past, dreading the past, bringing emotional vibration from the past, and allowing yourself to go into past things, then you are manifesting a new repeat of the same grade, okay? And if anything, you want to experience new things. I know it's hard to let go of the past, but if I told you you could have a new adventure if you did, you probably would. So I want to talk through the 12 signs today and talk about exactly where you are planting this new change, this new declaration. And I also want to highlight where Mars and Jupiter are helping you define your clarity, because I think that's what it is. You'll be very clear on your inner boundaries. You'll be very clear on your outer world boundaries. And it's from this clear perspective of where the line is that I think empowers your vision for where you want to go next on your journey. Now, one little caveat I will say is you want to listen to your sun sign and your rising sign. Your rising sign is pretty much the story you were born to live. So your rising sign will tell you where this actually plays out. But your sun sign will reveal what you have to face in order for this to play out. Okay, so listen to both, take notes, and be sure to check off that you have completed the A story before you commit to the B story. All right, so let's start with Aries. Aries and Aries risings are planting a new life purpose. For them, this is a whole meaning of life. They may not know where it's going, but they will be planting this intention of this is what brings them life purpose. This is what brings them meaning on their journey, and so it is. And what they will be clear on with Mars and Jupiter is literally where their boundaries are with their self, what their limits are with their self, and what their limits are with the outer world. And together with their limits and their purpose, they'll be on to their journey. Taurus and Taurus risings are actually declaring a transformation of their life. So Tauruses are deciding that they're going to change. They're going to change their boundaries. They're going to change their life. They're going to change everything. And I would say watch out for Tauruses in 2018 because they are about to change. I know they are steady and they normally are stubborn, but not anymore. They are making some changes. And to make these changes, Tauruses are now clear on the boundaries with themselves, and they're now clear with the boundaries with others. So that clarity of where their boundary is in relationships is what allows them to change. Geminis. Geminis are declaring a new relationship approach. So I know a lot of Geminis who are breaking up with people. I know a lot of Geminis who are falling in love with people. And they're, twins, they love to twin people. So it's not surprising the story they were born to live involves another person. And this proclamation and declaration to relationships can only happen once Geminis are clear on their lifestyle boundaries with their health and clear on their boundaries with their daily life and their work practice. So some Geminis escape into their work. That's probably not going to work for your new relationships. Cancers. Cancers are making a declaration to the lifestyle they want to live. That's how much they work. That's what their health is like. That's how far they commute, where they live, their quality of life. So Cancers are declaring that they want a new quality of life. And from this declaration, it's very imperative that they are clear on their boundaries with love. So Cancers must be clear on their boundaries with love for themselves. Okay, a lot of Cancers don't love themselves, but only love others. And Cancers are going to have to be clear about where their creative boundaries are and what their love story boundaries are. So by being clear with their love stories, they're able to create the lifestyle they want. And I don't know about you, but I know a lot of Cancers who've had their lifestyle derailed because they were so consumed with the relationship. So that's why I think the love boundaries are important. Leos and Leo risings. Leo and Leo risings are making a declaration to what their personal dreams are. This is a big deal for Leos. So they are declaring that they have a new personal dream, a new love story with themselves, basically, that they want to live, which is what we're all supposed to live. They're an example of that. But Leos can only live this love story if they are clear on their emotional boundaries with themselves, and they are clear on their emotional boundaries at home, okay? At home means your family, your roommates, the neighborhood you live in, the kind of foundation you have. So if Leos don't have the appropriate emotional foundation, they won't be able to flower into their personal dreams. Virgos. Virgos are declaring a new emotional foundation for themselves. So very much like Leos, Virgos must have a solid emotional foundation, a transformation of their home and family situation if necessary. And that is where their life purpose is to feel emotionally grounded. To be able to pull off this emotional ground, they have to be very clear on their mental boundaries. So Virgos must know when to stop in their mind. They must know when to stop when they're communicating to other people. They must also know when to speak up as well. So from clarity of managing their mind, they're able to manage their emotions. Libras. Libras are declaring a new path when it comes to their attitude or perhaps an intellectual property. So Libras may be deciding to write or become a computer programmer or to write the world's greatest app or something like that. So it can be an intellectual property, but mostly it's an attitude, a new way of approaching their life in their mind. Now, in order for this to happen, Libras must be crystal clear on their self-esteem boundaries. So not allowing themselves to go back and forth about if they're worth it or not, or if they should do it for other people or do it for themselves. They got to be real clear on what's in it for them. They got to be real clear on how much they give away to others and how much they make sure they have for themselves. Only with that clarity of your self-confidence and self-esteem will you be able to adopt this new attitude, Libra. Scorpios. Scorpios are committing to a new declaration of something they intend to manifest. So Scorpios are going to come back into the workforce in a new way. They're going to probably manifest projects. You'll see a lot of creative Scorpios now manifesting a project, manifesting a business, manifesting abundance. But in order for Scorpio to manifest that abundance, they must be very clear on their boundaries with themselves when it comes to defensiveness and ego. And they must be very clear on their boundaries with others, okay? So they get sloppy by crossing their own boundaries with other people. That gets them distracted from being able to focus on their manifestations. Sagittariuses. Sages have come a long way. I'm happy for the Sag. Congratulations. This new moon, Sagittarius, or Sag rising, is the graduation of your Saturn transit. 3 years you have been under hijack by Saturn, and this is the final declaration that will pull you out of this learning and onto your abundance. What you are declaring, Sagittarius, is to be a new character. This is new behavior, new ego defenses, and you may be transforming the actions that you take in life. Now, in order to do this, you must be crystal clear on your boundaries when it comes to fears. So you can no longer allow fears to interfere with your life, and you must be clear on your boundaries with faith. You can no longer allow your faith to be disintegrated by things that happen in your life. You must have a fearlessness and a strong faith in order to manifest this new version of you. Capricorns. Capricorns are actually declaring a new spiritual mission. So Capricorns are literally on a mission, on a calling from their soul, deep in their soul. And this might also be a declaration to their spirituality and a declaration to their soul instead of material gains, okay? Now, in order to make this spiritual declaration, Capricorns must be very clear on their boundaries in the world, where they belong and where they don't belong. They must also be clear on their boundaries with how far they go in the world or how little they go in the world. So they have to be very clear on their worldly boundaries in order to manifest their spiritual mission. Aquariuses. Aquariuses are making a declaration on where they belong in the world. And this is a social status, this is a title, this is the people you belong with, this is the neighborhoods that you live in, this is the people that you have an influence on, and that people have an influence on you. So Aquarians are basically making their play for where they will be for the age of Aquarius. They're making that move now of where they're going to play that out. For Aquariuses to be able to make that move, they must be very clear on their boundaries when it comes to decisions with themselves, so they can no longer waver on decisions with themselves, and they must have clear boundaries about their career and legacy, what they will do and what they won't do. So by being unclear on their legacy, it can take them off their path for the world. And then finally, the Pisces. Pisces are making a declaration for what their life's legacy shall be. This is career, legacy, leadership, decision-making, basically making a declaration of how they intend to take control of their own life. And the only way Pisces can do that is if they are hyper clear on what their boundaries are with beliefs. Pisces tend to be all accepting of everyone's beliefs and not ever judging. That's fine. But with your beliefs, Pisces, you must be crystal clear in what you believe. You must be crystal clear on what you will learn and what you will not learn or turn your back on as far as knowledge is concerned. So if Pisces are crystal clear on what they believe, they will be very clear on their spiritual journey and declaration of their new career. So beliefs lead to crystal clear career. Boy, say that 20 times in Mercury retrograde. So that basically is our mega stellium and our awesome new moon. Again, the new moon will happen on early Monday morning. So I would say with this video, be very clear on the topics before you go to bed on Sunday. Okay? All right, so a couple announcements. One, after this declaration, 2018 is about making it so. And so I have come up with a 2-hour webinar called Countdown to 2018. I will do it only once on December 30th, and I will do it live. So if you would like to have a ticket to this live seminar, bring a pen and pencil because there's going to be a ton of notes. We're going to comb through 2018, and you're going to be able to start the year with a crystal clear plan of what you can expect. You can also plan ahead to dodge some of the squirminess. There's 5 eclipses in 2018, a Mars and a Venus retrograde. It's a spaghetti bowl, okay? But I'm happy to help. If you want to know more about it, there's tickets available at soulmart.me. There is a limited number of tickets, by the way, due to the fact that it's online and broadcast. And yes, it will be available for viewing after the date. And yes, people can buy a ticket and then just watch the recording later. Some people have asked me that. Yes, you don't have to be there live. It's access to the video, basically. The next thing is I want to bring up serious joy. Don't you wish that I could be with you during the day right when shift hits the fan? Well, I can. That's why I invented the Serious Joy Personal Sensei service, because I got frustrated that my clients would get this amazing reading from me, and then when the transit hit, they missed it. Okay, like they missed the ball. They didn't do it, and so their life didn't change. And I thought, I need a technology that will nag the person right when they need to know. And that's what Serious Joy is. It is a little Christopher Obi-Wan Wateki angel over your shoulder, texting you 5 times a day. This is the time that you want to invest in yourself, trust me. And in this upcoming week, I have a little special thing I am releasing about the story you were born to live. You don't want to miss it. You can try it for $3.99. Come on down to SeriousJoy.com. Then, this is the last time I'm putting this out there. We are trying to help little Ivy from Scotland come to the United States for an innovative stem cell research program. This is a huge deal, not just for Ivy, but for cerebral palsy. Okay, and stem cells have brought a lot of interesting innovations to medicine. Ivy wants to be able to walk, okay? So if you want to donate to her cause, you'll be entered in to win for a free reading from yours truly. I'm giving away 3 30-minute readings to anyone who donates to Ivy's cause. Donate at least $10 or more, that's 13 pounds or more, and put Sensei Chris on the note. And I'm sure that if you are destined for this reading, you will be pulled. I'll be announcing the winners on December what is it going to be? December 18th? December 15th. Sorry, all these dates in my head, which will be the new Friday Live, which will be this Friday, by the way. So definitely want to tune in for that. And that leads me, lastly, to Namaste Today Club. We have this awesome club on the web where we are sharing ideas and sharing information. I also do Friday Live every 2 weeks. I'm doing a Friday Live this Friday where I'll have special guests bringing some enlightenment to you. And we'll be also announcing the winners of our Ivy reading ticket raffle. So if you want to be a part of the club, we welcome everyone. Our only rule is compassion is the key. Come on down to namastetoday.club. All right, friends, that was a mouthful. I hope you're having an okay Mercury retrograde. I pray that you have a profound new moon. I think it's going to be incredible. And I'll be back 1 week from now to talk about it with you. Until then, remember I love you, and to live, love, be.